Welcome back to another episode of the Two Balls, One Basket podcast, a podcast of the Playbook Sports Network. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at PlaybookSN and to visit our website, playbooksn.com. We are pumping content all day, every single day. As always, I am your host, Jordan. With me today is resident Zak Sadik.
What's going on, Jordan? How you doing?
I'm good. It was a little hiatus. We were gone for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, you were a busy man, huh?
Yeah, I got to move. I was away for work, and I'm good to be home. I'm happy to get back on this podcast.
Yeah, life happens.
All right, Zach, we're going to talk about our Dolphins. So we talked about the Chiefs game going into it. That one didn't end the way we wanted to. Shit happens, whatever. Sue me. Then we got the Raiders. Beat that ass. Then we had the Jets. Beat the shit out of that ass. So we'll start here. Through however many games, I don't even know. What are we, 8-3, 11 games? What has excited you the most about the Dolphins this year?
So I think we're in week 12 now. If you would have asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have said the offense and how dominant it looks. It's cooled off a little bit. I don't know if McDaniel's trying different things against different teams as we kind of gear up for our playoff run. But the offense has slowed down a pretty decent amount. So right now, what's excited me the most is how the defense has progressed throughout the season. They started off the first couple weeks being absolutely horrible. Even playing bad teams, they were giving up a shit ton of yards and a bunch of points, and they were dead last in a lot of categories, or near dead last in a lot of categories. So these last, I think the statistic is the last 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, and that includes the games that we've played against some of the better teams. They're top 3 in most major statistical categories for defenses across the league. So, seeing the pass rush wake up over the last few weeks, the secondary with Jalen Ramsey now is looking dominant. That's mostly because of him. But the linebackers are doing their job. It's just a collective effort. And it was such a blow to see Jalen Phillips go down last week. It still really hurts because he was having such a good year and such a good game before he went out. But they have enough depth there where they may be able to pick up the slack, split it up amongst a couple of guys. So we'll see what happens, but definitely the defense.
I haven't watched Hard Knocks yet, so I'm kind of worried about it. I heard it's really sad.
The second episode is sad for sure. We all know how it ends with because they spotlighted Phillips in the episode, obviously, because they won't be able to the rest of the year. So yeah, it definitely was a somber episode.
So I was also going to pick defense. I guess this is what I get for being a fantastic podcast host and letting my guests go first. But I'm going to stick with the defense because, and Joey, this is how you and I are going to know if Joey actually listens to the podcast, because there is so many opportunities for him to clip me and make me sound like an idiot because I have shit on Fit Fangio this entire first 5-6 weeks. Well, I'm owning it right now. I'm praising the guy. Everybody has bought in, and the defense looks amazing. These teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs, that's when the defense really started to pick up.
Yeah.
When you went into a game like that, it's like, okay, well, the Dolphins are gonna score regardless. The other teams are gonna have to score to keep up. Well, it hasn't been like that because the two defenses, Eagles, Chiefs, both real good defenses, they tempered our offense a little bit.
Yep.
But their offense didn't pop off either because our defense has been picking it up. You have to be an actual moron to throw the ball to Jalen Ramsey. I wouldn't throw within 2 yards of him. It's stupid.
I think the stat was, I don't think this includes the Jets game, but in his previous 3 games, he's been targeted 13 times and had 3 interceptions. That's an absurd interception rate based on how many targets you're getting.
And it's making Xavier Howard look a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Takes a little bit off of his plate.
Yeah. The Jalen Phillips thing, it hurts, but it's time for Bradley Chubb to earn his money. Like, he's been playing better. Now he's got to play like that guy that we went and got. Like, he's been playing good, but he hasn't been playing up to the standard of we traded so-and-so for you. We gave you so-and-so amount of dollars. Now is your time to be like, okay, well, I'm worth the first round picks. I'm worth the $100 million contract you guys gave me, however much we gave him.
The good thing is though, he's been like this. He's been like every game. It seems like he's getting more and more impact. So I like what I've been seeing from him. I think he can take that step. But then you also have guys like Andrew Van Ginkel and Jason Pierre-Paul now. Hopefully they can fill in and pick up the slack.
How good could Jason Pierre-Paul be? Isn't he old?
I've heard he's explosive.
He's explosive. All right, well, I'll take your word for it.
I'm sure anyone listening to this would get that joke.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that joke. The only thing I remember from Jason Pierre-Paul was when you and me, your brother, we used to go to watch the Super Bowl at whoever's house when we were younger. And you always be like, JPP. And I'd be like, I know that guy. All right. Yeah. So I guess now that we just praised the defense, it's time to talk about the offense. Before we get into it, are you worried at all about the offense? Because it was explosive as almighty hell, as Jason Pierre-Paul would say. See, I got the joke. And, we haven't been putting up crazy amount of points. And when we do, it's more so the run game, which I don't attribute to the offense itself. Are you worried at all?
Scale of 1 to 10, I am a 4 on my worry scale, because I trust in the talent and the mind. We have, Mike McDaniel, who's playing with the chess pieces, putting players where they can succeed. We have Tua, who is the most accurate quarterback in the league, according to Tyreek Hill again. We have the fastest receiver in the league. We have 2 of the fastest running backs in the league. I think that they will be able to figure it out and get it rolling when they need to. But again, I don't know if they're trying different things right now, because it doesn't seem like they're playing with the same scheme that they were in the first half of the first 6 games or so, or 5 games or so. Their game has really turned into short passes, running the ball, matriculate the ball down the field, much less than the big plays of the first couple of weeks. And there hasn't even been very many attempts at those big plays. But when you go back and you look at the Chargers game, the Giants game, the Panthers game, there were a good amount of deep shots, a lot more aggressive. Obviously, the Broncos game, it was deep shots on almost every play, or almost every drive, I should say. So like I said, I don't know if, our record and our lead in the division is letting McDaniel try new things, kind of like how Spoelstra uses the regular season for the Heat. Shake up the starting lineup, shake up the rotation as we head to the playoffs. And then once it's in the playoffs, you don't got to figure crap out anymore. You already know what works, what doesn't, and you can fine tune it that way. So I hope that's what's happening. But if that's not what's happening, obviously things can be cleaned up a little bit. Tua has had a few sloppy passes here and there. His interceptions are getting kind of high. They're not at Josh Allen levels yet.
I don't think anybody's catching that level.
But I mean, he has been sloppy. A couple of fumbles, a couple of bad passes, just like in the Jets game. I'm grilling him for one of those interceptions. The first one, that second interception, he was just trying to make something happen. There was 2 seconds left in the half.
That was just an exceptional interception.
It was a really good interception, and like I said, I'm not going to fault the quarterback for that, because it was almost a meaningless play. It ended up leading to us getting points on a Hail Mary somehow. But the interception itself was a meaningless play as long as they don't run it back. So, clean up some of the sloppy stuff, get the routes crispy again, and I think they'll be all right.
So when you said that it's turned from a lot of the long down the field passes to short stuff, working the field, working your way towards that red zone, I put some things together in my mind, because I had Joe on the podcast, and Joe's an Eagles fan. He doesn't follow the Dolphins. And when he came on here, when we did our little breakdown of the Eagles-Dolphins game, he said that the way the Eagles thrive is they get it out the mud, they work their way down the field. The Dolphins do an explosive play and they're down there. So he's right. Like, if the Dolphins want to win that game, they got to show that they can get it out the mud. maybe that's what they're trying to do, because it's like, well, if an Eagles fan notices that, there's no reason Mike McDaniel doesn't notice that. Mike McDaniel probably realizes, okay, if we don't get the ball down the field, we struggle. So maybe let's work on this. Let's call some new plays. Let's try new things out. Let's try new don't care, don't know the word, not even going to try to think about it. So maybe that was a good point. I agree with that point.
Yeah, and I saw a stat today that this season, early on, the Dolphins were not facing third downs. They were moving the ball down the field. They were getting chunk plays every drive. Over the last handful of weeks, when we're actually facing third and shorts, because of the short passes in the run game, we are, I think it's 4 out of, I don't know, 16 or 17. It's some low amount where it's like third and ones are usually gimmies, especially for good teams. But we're getting into those situations and trying to figure it out, whether it's by passing it or by running it. And I think the statistics show that the Dolphins are more effective when passing it in that situation, which is kind of surprising. So that's probably something that we're working on.
Is it though?
I mean, you want to be able to run the ball for a yard when you need to run for a yard, So I think that that's something that they are working on. Obviously, you got to get the offensive line and the running game and the short passing game, the routes all aligned there. But I think that you are right. I think Joe's probably right. That they do need to learn how to move the ball slowly, kind of like the Eagles do. The Eagles just kind of march down the field in like 5-yard increments, and they aim for those third and ones and they get the first down no matter what. So I think that the Dolphins, once they hit the playoffs and they might have to play a few games in snow or up north, it's not as easy to have those explosive plays. So you want to be able to figure it out now so you're good at it later.
Yeah, it's good to do that now, because come playoff time, you're going to have these third downs. God forbid we get to the S word. I'm not saying the words. I refuse to say the words. God forbid we get to the S word. We know we're going to have to convert some third and shorts, 3rd and 5, 6, stuff like that.
Once you're in the playoffs, you don't play bad teams anymore. So you have to figure out how to play against those good defenses.
Yeah, I want the Chiefs again so bad. That one hurt.
Man, both the Chiefs and Eagles game, they could have easily gone in different directions with just small changes. The Bills got us. I'm not even going to complain about that. We have a chance to play them again in our house pretty soon. But the Chiefs and Eagles game, they both left a bitter taste in my mouth because it could have easily flipped in a different direction.
For those of you gamblers, follow Playbook SN bets. When the Dolphins play the Bills, I will be taking the over on Josh Allen's interceptions. I will be doing that. All right, so next up, we got the Commanders Sunday. I think we're in Washington, right? Yeah, we are in Washington.
Yeah.
Should we even talk about it? Like, does it worry you? I mean, I feel like Washington's a bad team, but they're one of those teams that could beat anybody if everybody's like playing really well, even if we play well. Sam Howell is what? He's like 3rd in passing yards.
He might still be number 1. He's up there. The team doesn't worry me. I'm not making any predictions because every time I make a prediction on this podcast, it ends up going the wrong way. I think I'm 0 for 3. I think I've been on here before every big game that the Dolphins have played and they've lost all 3.
Same.
Sorry about that. And so I refuse to make any predictions on this podcast. But the team itself, the Commanders, they don't worry me. They've looked good against their division rivals like the Eagles. They've played them well twice. But against most other teams, it's, they can put up some points, but their defense really isn't stopping anybody. So I fully expect to see a solid Dolphins offensive, output similar to how it was earlier in the year.
We're supposed to be getting Achane back this week, which I was like, everyone was excited for 2 weeks ago, and then he just got hurt again.
Yeah. And it's the same knee, which is weird, but it was a different injury technically. Like it wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't bad enough to put him back on IR. It's confusing with him, but we'll see.
All right. Well, you said you're not going to make a prediction, so that saves us some time. Maybe we should just both pick the Commanders, and then that way the Dolphins will win.
There you go. And if we end up getting it right, then we can brag that we got it right and saw it coming.
So I'm looking at the schedule right now. The Dolphins don't beat bad teams. I mean, good teams. We're gonna end the season with Cowboys, Ravens, Bills. It's looking pretty far ahead, but two of those are home games. I don't understand how the Baltimore game's in Baltimore. Didn't we just go to Baltimore last year and fuck them up?
I think we've been at Baltimore the last 2 years. Like I think that we visit Baltimore every season.
Who the hell wants to go to Baltimore in fucking when is this? December.
I mean, 2 years ago, that was the game where Tua came in at halftime with the Brian Flores, and he ended up winning that game. And then last year in Baltimore when we came back from down 21, Tua had
Yep.
the 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
So yeah, no, they love scheduling us in Baltimore for some reason.
We're making
But that
predictions for that game because I'm predicting he's throwing 7 this time.
that last stretch is rough.
It's crucial.
And so was that?
It's crucial because I'm going to count that last 3-game stretch is the determining factor if we have a first round bye or not, which I really think we need because I don't want to go to fucking Kansas City. I don't want to go to Buffalo. I don't want to go. I don't even know. I'll go to Jacksonville, but like I don't want to go to these cold places. It might even get cold in Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that home field advantage comes into play significantly in these situations, like when you're dealing with outdoor sports and outdoor weather situations in December and January. I think that Kansas City is not fun to play in. You don't want to have to go play in their conditions, make them come to you. So I think that those last three, not only will they determine the first round bye, which I agree with, but also it will tell us what to expect come the playoffs. If we go out there and lay an egg against Baltimore or Dallas for some reason, which I don't see happening, but they have good defenses, we would know what to expect in the playoffs. Like, hey, maybe we build up and try again next year. We know what to expect. But if we can pull out 2 of those 3 games, Buffalo, Dallas, and Baltimore, then I'm happy with the team, and I think that they'll be going into the playoffs with momentum.
We're searching for that first playoff win. Zach, I've been alive for a long time. Well, not a long time, but a long time. I haven't seen a win yet.
Sad. It's sad. I haven't seen one in my fandom either. I've been a fan since, I don't know, 2002, I guess, when I was like 9 years old. Yeah, no, I have not seen a playoff win. I've seen a few playoff games, and they've gotten embarrassed in every single one of them. So
they didn't get embarrassed last year.
no, not last year. I wasn't. I was more so.
Bills got embarrassed last year, and they won the game.
Yeah, that's true. I'm more so talking about the Tannehill years. Made it a couple times, and then just got destroyed by Baltimore, and I think Pittsburgh 1 year.
Pittsburgh.
So yeah, no, those weren't fun. But last year doesn't even count because we didn't have a full roster.
I remember that Pittsburgh game. I was so mad that stupid girl wouldn't cover my shift at Abercrombie so I could watch the game. I ended up quitting, so whatever.
But I do anticipate getting a solid seed, whether it's the first seed or not. That first game should be against a team that's a tier or 2 below us, where we'd be able to hopefully have a decent chance to win at least one playoff game.
Nope, not going to say the S word. All right. So this season, it's been awesome. Now we're going to do this. I want your most excited player. Like, which player this year has you the most excited, surprised you the most? You're not allowed to pick Tyreek Hill. I have to say this for everybody. It's cheating if you pick Tyreek Hill.
He's the obvious answer.
Yeah.
Most excited, as in like how they've played or how surprising it is, or like future looking forward?
Nah, like how they've played.
How they've played.
Like, who has you the most excited to watch every week now?
Jalen Ramsey. That man is as advertised. He was supposed to be one of the best, or probably the best corner in the league. Then he gets hurt, has a surgery, and then comes back a month early. And I'm thinking there's no way that he's going to be his normal self, right? Like, of course, he comes to the Dolphins, he gets hurt, and he loses a step. And just add him to the list of guys that have been disappointing over the years like that. But he comes in and he immediately reasserts himself as one of, if not the best corners in the league. Like the man is a monster, and I have only seen him in a Dolphins uniform for a handful of games, and I have so much trust that he's always where he needs to be. You know, I trust him more than almost any other player on the team to be where he needs to be and make the play that needs to be made because of how great he is.
I was at the game, the Patriots game that he debuted. When they announced him and he ran out the tunnel, Zach, if you could feel vibes, it was like unbelievable. Everybody screaming. The place was shaking. I'm like, oh my God, we're having an earthquake. It was unreal. And I've seen some crazy sports. I've seen Jimmy Butler drop 56 points, and like that was a lot. Okay, he drops 56 points. Jalen Ramsey's Dolphin debut was almost as fucking good as that. That's how fucking hyped everybody was for him.
Yep. It creates buzz, man, when you have a guy that good on your team.
So I think my player is going to be Raheem Mostert. And I'm going to tell you why. You hear every offseason from different teams, different players, like, oh, I've changed my routine up. Like, I'm going to do this better. I did this better. I changed this up. So Raheem said he changed the way he trained. This year he did a lot more strength. He put on more muscle because he didn't want to get hurt. Well, he hasn't gotten hurt yet. I think he leads the league in rushing touchdowns, and he's second in rushing yards. That is what I like from a player. I like when a player says something and they actually mean it and they do something about it. Because that was everyone's only fault with Raheem Mostert. Take Joe, for example. Joe loves Raheem Mostert. He's one of his favorite players in the league. But he's never available when it counts. Well, he's been available. And he's
injury prone and a little bit smaller. And this year he's definitely bigger. He's breaking a lot more tackles than I was expecting. And he's been available every game. And the rookie that we drafted is the guy that's been unavailable. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good year for the Dolphins. I'm excited to watch every game. It's like now I get antsy for Sundays. I'm like, oh, let's go. The Dolphins are playing. And I don't think I could ever say that before. All right. So my internet's unstable, Zach. So I'm going to have to cut it short. I'm going to call it Xfinity because, fuck me, right? Why did everything work for me? But that's perfect. It was actually perfect timing because we're running out of time and I covered everything I wanted to cover. So, predictions for Sunday. Dolphins by...
Not doing it.
You pussy. All right, Zach. We'll get you back on for a Heat pod because I'm kind of sick of talking Dolphins with you. I want to talk some Heat.
Let's go Heat.
All right. Peace.
See ya.